Minions will be deployed in 3 seconds. Prepare to engage.
It's all skill. Target. I never miss a shot.